Doug Thompson here. I wanted to show you one of the first tools that I made to be able to extend my table. This is essentially a telescoping stand so that you can adjust it to various heights depending on the project you're using, your table, your sawhorses, whatever. I used 1.5 inch round tube, an 11 gauge tube. It's pretty strong. This is 1.5 inch 11 gauge. This is 1.75 inch 14 or 13 gauge. The 1.5 inch tube fits very nicely into the 1.75 inch tube. I have used a half 13 nut welded to the side. Obviously there's a hole going through it. I've got a nice long bar here so that I can rotate this easily and really crank it down. You want to have a heavy wall tube here because if you tighten this up and it's a light wall tubing, it's just going to crush it. There are 3 legs so it never wobbles. The stand has a base that fits essentially within a 20-inch diameter circle. This is a 35-degree angle right here. And the reason I did that is so that it wouldn't be quite so big. Obviously, the more that it splays out, the more room it's going to take up, and it's a little bit weaker. So you'll notice this is a piece of 3/8 by, I think it's 1.25 inch flat bar. You could use anything. The nice thing about flat bar is you can make a simple cut, and then the weld is not a complicated weld from the flat bar to the round tube. If this were square tubing, you'd have a relatively complex joint here. So with a piece of flat bar, it's definitely strong enough, and you have an easy weld. Cut the angle, weld it up, you're done. And then I've got this little pad of 3/8 by 1.25 inch. I think it's the same material, just to distribute the weight a little bit. What I'll do sometimes if I'm working by myself is I will clamp a level to the tube, whatever it is I'm going to make, and I've left it high. And the first thing I'll do is I'll lower it down a little bit with my hand to match. I'm bore sighting down the tube to match my table. I'll take a peek at the level. Looks like I got to come down maybe 1/8 of an inch. Sometimes what I'll do is actually mark 1/8 of an inch on the tube so I have some visual reference. I'll loosen it up and bring it on down. And I'm fairly close, but I can fool with that until I get really, really level. But anyways, it's a nice way to extend a small table, and probably would be one of the first tools that I would make if I had a small shop and I needed to have some type of an extension on my table. That way, when you're done, you can pick it up, put it in the corner, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of room while it's being stored.